Welcome to Dad Talk Podcast. This is our new YouTube channel. We're trying something new. You could find us on Facebook Live, Instagram, and then also streaming live on anchor.fm. So sit back and relax, whether you're listening in your car or watching while you're at home or in the office. Welcome to Dad Talk Podcast. Enjoy. I'm come at you from two different standpoints. Okay, I'm going to talk about building value as it relates to um, sales, as far as like selling stuff, and then building value within ourselves, within our brand, within our children, within the way that we think, the way that we walk, the way that we talk. How do we build value? And then also the last part is building value to the point where our value becomes something that we can monetize. That when we talk and when we speak to someone, or if we are trying to sell someone something particular, how do we build that value and get them on our team? How do we speak the same language that they may speak in order to bring them in and to become a customer of ours, right? So let's get down to it. So for one, building value. First and foremost, when people look at you, they really kind of judge you from the outside. They don't know too much about you, so um, they want to, when it comes to spending their money, they want to know that their money is being well spent. So they want to make sure that they're comfortable and that you have to make them feel comfortable in order for them to get to the point of saying, okay, I'm going to part with my hard earned money because I see the value in whatever you are actually selling, or even the value of even taking the time out and taking my time to even listen to you. So, for one, I'd like to, say thank you guys for even tuning in, whether you're tuning in and sharing. I really appreciate it. So, somewhere down the line, I have built some type of value where you're like, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and listen to him because he's saying something that I agree with, or something that I've heard, and I'm like, yeah, you know, we on the same page, or I've learned something new. So I like to thank you guys to begin with, uh, just tuning in and then seeing value within what I do. So let's look at one of the key elements is time. So when we're thinking about time, we're thinking about just anything. Time is short, right? Time in business is money. So whatever it is, the any amount of time can be monetized. So you ever hear the saying is that, hurry up, time is money, because it is. It's like, what are you gonna trade your time for? So you put a value on time. So when you look at it from a business standpoint, when we're putting a value on time with business, is that we say, okay, if I talk to you for 30 minutes, it's going to cost you this amount of money, because we are putting a value on how long we are conducting business with you, whether it's a consult, talking to you, we're putting a value on that. So people have to understand that one point is that you yourself, as a business person, or you yourself as someone that is, talking to someone, you are building that value system by letting them know, hey, this is how much this particular thing costs. So you are building that value system right there with dealing with time. So attaching a price to time will actually start to build some type of value where they may not see it, but you are actually giving them, this is the cost of this particular value. Um, and this is the cost of this particular thing that I am actually sharing with you. Now, the benefit of it is that from a sales standpoint, if you're selling someone something, you want to make sure that you are giving them something that's going to benefit them. And the way to actually kind of reel them in is that, hey, for a limited time, this is what it is, So if you want to take advantage of this, you're really going to have to go ahead and do it before, time's up. One thing in marketing, one thing in sales is that you tell people, you build that urgency and say, you know what, we only have a certain amount of items left, or we have a certain time limit on this, and you better get it before it's gone. So now you're piquing their interest, like, oh man, is only a couple left, so I might as well hurry up and get it before it's gone. So that is the value of placing time, placing the amount of money on it, and placing that urgency there, so people would be like, okay, I need to act now, or it's going to be over, it's going to be gone. Number 2, is expressing the benefit of what you're doing or what you're delivering by making it common, make a common ground, or come to a common ground or a common interest. So you're like, okay, I can sell to you all I want, right? I can sell to you and say, hey, I'm going to give you this, and you need this for whatever, right? But it'll only matter to you, and what really matters to you is, why would you need it? What is it going to fit your particular need? So now, as a salesman, I need to uncover how is it going to benefit you. I need to uncover your need for the item. So that comes with me questioning, asking you about certain things. And it's almost like the game of telephone, because you can tell someone that is going to benefit them in whatever way that you're going to tell them. But if they don't see the benefit and they can't connect directly with the benefit, then it is, you're not going to, sell that item. They're not going to be interested. So building that value off of exactly what that person wants and needs are, So if you can connect their wants and their needs to this specific item that you may be selling, then that right there will secure you, the next step into closing that deal, right? So also, with selling or basically building the benefit that they want, building the benefit to the point where they want to buy, is actually, tapping into their emotions. Certain people are emotional buyers. If the emotions are high enough, if they're happy about it, they're excited about this thing, then they will buy it. They'll have a knee-jerk reaction and say, oh man, so you have to associate it with something that, brings up their emotions, something that you may even go back as far as trying to tap into something that's nostalgic, and remind them of something in their life that was a good time in their life, in order to show them the benefit of this product that you're selling. And again, it's just connecting that commonality and connecting something within them and pulling on their heartstrings in order for them to be like, oh man, I love that whole idea. I would love to, buy it. I would love to actually, be a part of whatever it is that you're selling. And then the last thing is create a sense of urgency, just like what I was saying before, is creating a sense of urgency with time, creating a sense of urgency with making it customized, saying, okay, you know what, this thing that I have right here, only a few people, are able to get it, make it exclusive, and I'm going to now say, hey, only a few people have it. You want to be one of the few that have it, and make it so exclusive that they would want to buy it. They would want to buy into whatever it is that you're selling, whatever it is that you have, is making that sense of urgency connect with time, connect with things that they are interested in, then connect with saying, hey, customizing it to the point where nobody else has this. Similar to what I'm wearing now, right? As you can see, this is custom made, can't remember the name off top of my head of the designer, but it's something unique. It's very unique. So really it sold itself. He didn't really have to say, hey, it just sold itself. I like the design, I like what he was doing with it. So I bought it. But when we're thinking about creating a sense of urgency, it's almost like putting it in their lap and saying, hey, it's so exclusive. Only a certain amount of people have gotten this thing, and I would like for you to be one of, of the small crowd of people that have, their hands on this particular item. So outside of sales, let's go into building value of yourself, building value of other things in life that you may see that has something, some bit of value in it, or something that may not even have to the naked eye, or to someone who's looking at it saying that, they may have devalued the situation, devalued people, or you have people that see no value within themselves, So when I talk about building value, there's so many different levels to it, right? So let's get into people buying into you, right? People buying into who you are. I always go back to one thing, is that being solid, being the same person that you were before, never switching up. Being a person that when all hell breaks loose, that you are still the same person in calm weather that you are in the storm, that you're able to keep some integrity about yourself and be that type of person that someone can depend on, But how do you build that value? How do you allow folks to understand that part of you? Is through your characteristics, it's through your actions and what you are actually doing on a day-to-day basis. How you carry things will really, when we start thinking about those characteristics of value, integrity, honesty, telling the truth, being consistent, being on time, you yourself showing that you value other people's time, that you value the work that you do by showing up on time and doing a good job. Also, when you have folks looking from the outside in, is that you being a person of integrity, you showing all of those things and carrying yourself a certain way will build value in how other people see folks that may even look like you. Building value sometimes comes with that aha or that gotcha moment where you have folks that may think other things about you or whatever, and kind of put you down, throw you in a box, and then look at you as a stereotype, and then when you have that time to break that thought, that train of thought of what they thought that you were, then now that builds some other value too. And sometimes is that unmistaken value is the value that they can't deny. That's what I meant. The undeniable value where they may have something in their head about you. They may think a certain way about you, but it's undeniable when the truth comes out, when you are a person of integrity and you show that you are, and you show your intelligence, you show that, you are a person that is trustworthy, then now you are helping others to see, that value in you when you stand on some type of principle. You have a lot of folks that operate on principle. you know. So if you're operating on principle and standing for something, then you have a value system there. You know, it's all kind of laid out when you operate on principle and people start to see your value. Remember, most folks don't know you from a can of paint, right? So in most cases in life, we have to show that we are, you know, worth certain things, right? So if you're on the job, you know, depending on what you are doing on that job, um, you have to show them that you are worth the amount of money that you're asking for, right? You know, if you're looking for a raise or you're looking to get into a certain position, you have to show them, you know, and that's where the value comes in, is that you are showing them that you are worth what you are trying to, you know, receive as a check, you know. So when we look at it again, the basis of your value is your integrity. You know, will you be that type of person that, you know, changes like the weather? It's not 100%. It does not stay, you know, 100 and stay solid. Will you be, you know, all of those characteristics that people hate when it comes to looking at someone that they can trust? uh, they're looking at someone that gossips all the time. You know, you gossip because the one thing is a saying that a dog that'll bring a bone will carry a bone. So when people look at you, they judge you by a whole list of things, you know, and that will mess up your value if someone catches you out there and they say, man, this dude or this woman is over here gossiping and taking what I've said and ran back and said XYZ to someone else. So you have to protect your integrity at all times and not step out those bounds, because then your value starts to go down because folks are like, man, I can't even trust that dude. I don't even want to say anything to her because if I say something to her, she's going to take that and run with it. And then now people are looking at you with, oh man, I can't even trust that person. So now your value is going down. You have, and I'm going to get to the next part, is that we have a lot of folks that are dealing with self value. You know, their self value is definitely an issue because they don't see the value in themselves. I have a saying that we all have, you know, a story to tell, right? So everyone has something within them that is valuable. You know, people are suffering with that every day. They're like, man, I'm nobody. You know, my story is nothing, and who I am is nothing. I'm, you know, kind of like the low man on the totem pole, or I have all of these isms that I'm dealing with, you know, where I'm looking at my skin color, you know, I'm looking at other people and how they see me is affecting me. You know, when someone does not like me is affecting my self-worth because they don't like me. If someone's putting me down, is because of XYZ, whatever it is, it affects that person and so much so that they start to devalue themselves and they're like, you know, I'm not worth anything, you know, or why should I go after that particular job? Why should I go after, you know, what I want, what I love? I'm not even worth, you know, doing that. So why should I? So now we got to attack those issues when we start to think about building value and the value that folks have within themselves and what they see around them and how the outside world looks at it. First and foremost, you got to start with self, right? You got to look at yourself and say, okay, what is it within me that I can look at and say it's worth something? Because you have a lot of folks that just deal on a level of feeling worthless. And my thing is find that one thing. You know, you can't, I'm not saying it's impossible, but it is possible that there are folks that hate everything about themselves, right? And then there are folks that we know plenty of folks like that that have that issue where they don't like themselves. So now it's not just on them, it's on us to actually help them out and to bring their value up also. and it's like, okay, what will bring someone else's value up? What will help them out in their low time? What will help them out where they're looking at themselves and they're like, man, I'm just not worth it? Is compliments, is to really engage with them and say, okay, these are the things that I see within you that are great. That person within themselves has to find that one thing. What is it about me that is great? And then build off of that one thing and just keep going, keep going, keep going. But then at the same time, you got to have other folks coming in and reassuring you and reassuring that person that, hey, you're worth something. You're worth something to someone. So that affects, the mental state of folks is when they have what I call low self-esteem. They have low self-esteem. They don't value themselves. So you got to figure out a way of how to build that up. You may even have that same issue. I know that for a while, everyone has their different hangups, right? So when you have your hangups, you have to understand that when you have those different hangups, whether it's like, okay, I may not be the certain weight that I feel that I need to be, I may not be the certain height that I may be, I may have a background where my background is not squeaky clean. So I may feel bad about my background. It may restrict me from doing certain things. All of those things can be in your way. Those can be the little hiccups, and those can be the things, those roadblocks that are keeping you from really feeling good about yourself. So you have to face those things. You have to face the man and the woman in the mirror every day, and you have to face those things head on, because you have to understand there are folks out here that have dealt with the same things, and even worse, but they've gotten over them. So now you have to kind of take a page out of their book and figure out, like, how in the world did they get through it? Till this day, you have some folks that are very, very successful. I don't care if you had something on your record. I don't care if you were abused, if you were never told that you were of something of value, that everyone that you ran across kind of did you wrong. So you kind of put them over here and say, man, I can't even deal with them or those type of people, is because they all have done me wrong. So you let a couple of bad apples spoil a bunch. So you're looking at it and you're like, man, I'm giving up on that. I don't even want to do that. The thing is, we all go through that, right? We all have these insecurities. We all have things that we battle with every day. But how do we get through them? How do we become great in our lives or better in our lives? How do we become successful in being able to achieve certain things in life? First and foremost, it does come down to the value. It comes down to the self-esteem. It comes down to how do you see yourself? Because if you don't feel like you are worth anything, then you don't feel like anything worth it will come to you in your life. Whether it's a spouse, whether it's friends, whether it's material things, whether it's peace in your life, whether anything. If you don't feel that you are worth it, then you will never accept it. Even in like folks that are running in and out of relationships, because of that one thing that you feel about yourself, you're not allowing yourself to be loved, because you have been in a situation where you didn't think that love was for you. You just thought that love was something that was not for you. You just felt that, man, nobody else loved me, so why in the world would you love me? Nobody else gave me a chance, so why in the world would that person give me a chance? Why? One thing that I know is that a person that has confidence and a person that sees the value within themselves will excel. I saw the interview with Dennis Rodman, and I don't know if all of y'all had caught that interview. He's actually done a couple of interviews lately, and the one thing that he is suffering from right now And still to this day, as a grown man, it doesn't matter. All of the success in the world that he is, had, all the money, the things that he's gone through, the success, the fame, he's somebody that if you saw him, people recognize who he is. None of that matters is because of certain situations that he has gone through in his life that has pained him so much so that it has left a mark on him that he can't get through, can't get over. Because at some point he felt devalued, devalued enough where it's really getting to him. He still has not grown and gotten past that point. And not even waking up and saying, oh man, I'm Dennis Rodman, and seeing just how great he is. Something in his life is still holding him back where he can't really, enjoy his life because of what has happened to him in the past. He mentioned that he's never heard his mother tell him that she loved him, right? So that's a hurtful thing. Even my own mother had went through that growing up. That's a hurtful thing. That's something that you go through life, and that's a lack that you are looking for. You lack that in your life, and you are looking for that the rest of your life, and it makes you feel incomplete. So it makes you feel that even the whole world is valuing you. You can't even see the value of yourself because it is predicated on the love of others, the love of the one that birthed you, and then also these other things that have happened in his life that have shook him to the core and kept him from really looking at his value, really looking at how successful he is, how blessed he is, just to come through all of these different things that he has gone through. So that is a prime example of someone who is battling with being able to look in the mirror and say, I value you, Dennis. I value you. Everything that everyone has said about you wrong, it doesn't matter. But all the things, all the great things that people have said, I now can accept them. He's having a hard time doing that. And we all battle with that. So they say practice makes perfect, right? So anything that you want to attack, anything that you want to get over, getting out your own head, right? Because most times it is all up here. It's not really, it happens to be out here, but a lot of times it's right here. Is what you think of yourself is going to be able to be imposed on you, or some things that you can kind of block out. Depending on how you feel about yourself is how you can deal with the world. What did Funk say? Before we can learn to deal with the world, we have to love ourselves, right? And if you don't learn to love yourself, you can't love anybody else, right? So that holds true, is that the whole world can love you. And if you don't love yourself first, if you don't see no value within yourself, it's not going to matter, And what you're doing, if you're trying to love the world, but you don't love yourself, there's a disconnect there. There's a heavy disconnect right there that if you can't love yourself, this is impossible for you to love anyone else. Now, value sometimes, your self-worth and your self-value gets skewed sometimes because other folks will tell you that if you love yourself and if you are so into yourself, that has to be arrogance. That has to be that because you love yourself, that means that you hate someone else, or you putting someone else down because you love yourself so much. Not necessarily. One does not have anything to do with the other. Because you love yourself doesn't mean that you're arrogant and you think that you're bigger than anyone else, but it starts with self. But you can't allow other people to come in and to devalue you and give you your value. That's the other thing. Value starts with self, right? So you can't allow outside forces to tell you what you are worth, right? So now we have to sit back and say, man, they're not responsible for your happiness. They're not responsible for your success. They're not responsible for how you feel about yourself. A lot of times we allow people to be responsible for those things. And the way that we allow them is that we allow them. We open up that door and we say, hey, whatever it is that you feel about me, go ahead, pour it on, and I will succumb to your particular adjectives, characteristics that you feel that I fit, you know. So now I'm allowing you to put me in that box. So when you allow someone to put you in that box, then you can't get outside that box because you're only what they are telling you that you are. You are only restricted to what you see them, you know, telling you who you are, right? So now we have to learn to unlearn that type of way of thinking. For, you know, a long time in this country, we have where, you know, they put, you know, blacks in a certain category. They put them in a box and they said, hey, you cannot do X, Y, Z. You are only limited to this. This is what you are. This is what we think of you. And that is your worth. This is your value. So that has to be undone. And you have generations of folks that are going through it, that it has to be undone. You know, people just don't wake up and snap, they're out of it because your grandmother, your granddad, going on down all the way to your mother and to yourself, these things are passed down, right? So value sometimes is passed down also. If they say, okay, you're poor and you're never going to be anything, a lot of times those things are passed down. And when I use Dennis Rodman as the example, is that he's great. He has all of these things that he has achieved in his life, but what is in him, his value system of himself has not caught up to his actual, you know, being and his success and who he is as a man in real life. His internal feelings about himself, his value has not caught up to him. So you have a lot of folks that their values have not caught up. It's like this, and you know how it is that people really treat you the way that you value yourself. So you know how we say that people will carry you the way that they feel, you know, by how you show, you know. So let me clean it up. You know, people who will treat you the way that you are carrying yourself and how you are showing them how to treat you, you know. So they can't treat you any other way, or they won't treat you any other way if they see that you don't value yourself. I remember a time where working on a job and I would look around and the guys would change the way that they talk, change the way that they were moving when the supervisor come around. And I staying the same way. I didn't change the way that I talked. I didn't change the way that I was moving. But it was funny when I looked around and I'm like, wow, when the supervisor come around, they act different. They start acting different. So it's like, if you are going to change up when the supervisor come around, then what does that say about you? You know, that at any moment in time in life, you may, you know, be swayed back and you may be yellowed back and just change up on somebody and be like, oh, when somebody come around, I'm gonna act different, you know. So that is showing, you know, for me from the outside, you know, looking at them is that, you know, they couldn't be trusted. And that it's something about them that they couldn't show their self-worth and their value by, you know, kowtowing and you know, we are all men, but you are bowing down to a man that puts his pants on the same way you put yours on, you know. So to me, it just felt like, man, they don't really value themselves or have respect for themselves if they feel that they have to, you know, act a certain way when the supervisor comes around, you know. So yeah, self-worth is everything, you know, and how people see you is how they're going to carry you, right? So depending on how they see you is how they're going to carry you. There's an argument that we had a while ago. It was about dressing, how the clothes that you wear, right? And that will a man approach a woman the same way depending on what she has on, right? So it was like, statistically speaking, how would a man approach a woman dressed a certain way? The argument would be, oh, I could be dressed whatever, and they're gonna address me or come at me the same way. So, just for the sake of arguing and looking at it that way, how do you feel that a man is looking at a woman? Because for most people, if they're looking at it right, they're saying to themselves, what goes in comes out, right? So I'm looking at you, I'm looking at what you got on. That's telling me what's going on here. People say, no, it's not saying that, it's not saying that. Because if I want to wear something, I'm gonna wear whatever. That's the argument. But for most people, what they're looking at, what you got on, is telling me what's going on up here. It's telling me your moralities, your morals, and what you feel to yourself, what is acceptable. This is what I'm thinking. I'm like, okay, you put that on because you thought it was acceptable. You thought that was cute. You thought whatever. And the way that you carry yourself is your worth, is how you feel about yourself. Oh, I feel good about myself. I can wear this and wear that, and I can show this and show that. And that don't mean that, I'm disrespecting myself or I don't feel no way about myself. We have to attack that argument. We have to look at that argument the right way. We have to look at it and say, yes, it does. It matters a whole lot. It's telling me what you really think about yourself. Because for someone that, okay, we're going to run down the argument, right? So the woman is walking by and she like, oh, they just whistling at me and they saying this, saying that, or whatever, being disrespectful. And she may have on some short shorts that come up the head and got these all out, right? I hear you. That's the argument. I got you. Okay, so here's the thing. That was the same thing, is that men will say whatever. They'll come at you any other way, any type of way, if you have on whatever you have on, whether it's baggy, whether it's loose or whatever. But follow me. So you come out with booty shorts on, right? You come out with a halter top and these joints about to pop out, right? And everything is showing. And then you get that type of reaction. A man thinking like, wow, she doing that for attention. What is she even thinking? Like, man, did you say to yourself like, oh, I'm gonna come out the house and this is gonna be fine. And I expect for folks to respect me the same way that I would if I had on some jogging pants and a regular shirt. I demand that type of respect. People are they're always going to judge you, period, right? It's just how the world goes. They're going to judge you. But they can only go off of what they see sometimes. They say, don't judge a book by its cover. Yes, true. You don't understand or you don't know what's going on up here, right? By judging a book by its cover. You don't know if they're smart nor if they're dumb. But how you carry yourself is indicative of your thoughts, is indicative of your morals, is indicative of how you are putting yourself out there to the world, So I'm gonna go there, right? So folks will say it like this, and I'll just lay it out there, right? Someone is dressed in a police uniform, right? Decked out in a police uniform, right? But they are not a police officer. But somebody looks at them and be like, oh, they just assume They're a police officer because they're dressed in a police officer's uniform. So a police will garner some type of respect, some type of, okay, I can't do, I can't say such and such to him. So there is some type of underlying value there. You know, whether you like it or hate them, there's some value there. You know, you just not going to pop off on them or do whatever because there's some value built there. You're not going to say certain things because there's some value already built there, right? So let's switch to the, you know, that narrative, but that person's not a police officer. They got the whole get up on, you know, they have the police uniform on, but they are not the police, you know? So then you have a woman that's walking around with all of this hanging out. She got a thong on, is showing all the cheeks showing, these are showing, the whole nine. So people are looking at it and they're like, wow, you know, she's dressed like that. So their first mindset is, well, why is she dressed like that? You know, what's going on? And I hear you. But here's the thing. They're going to say, hey, if she's not a prostitute, because if you go right around the corner, you go on 14th Street when it used to be live and popping, and you look, and majority of the prostitutes wore exactly what that woman is wearing right now, right? So you can't tell the difference. If you took her and you put her on the corner next to the prostitute that's wearing that as her uniform, you would get them both confused. You would say, well, if you're not a prostitute, why are you wearing the prostitute's uniform? So we can have that argument. So other people will have that argument and say, nah, she loves herself. The other half would say, nah, there's something going on up here. Gotta be something going on up here. Because her value is now for what people are seeing, she's devaluing herself. You know, she's not setting a good example for herself, her kids, or family, whomever, you know. So people are looking at that value system a different way. So I brought that up as an example of how people will that, you know, value people and what they look like. I understand that the answer to that, or the statement, was that I don't agree. Kim K dressed like a hoe every day, but she makes power moves and could care less what people think, and it don't stop. And then more strippers have college education, though it ain't about the outfit. I hear you. I hear you on that, you know. But again, it still goes back to the value system. It still goes back to it, you know, because how you present yourself says a lot about you, you know. So maybe it's used in a way where, okay, I'm gonna wear this because I got money to make, and this is the way that I make my money. So I wear certain things. So strippers, yeah, they're in-house. They're in a strip club, and they're doing that in a strip club, right? You said get some glasses. I got my glasses. I don't know where they at though. But yeah, they have that particular job. They are strippers in a strip club, right? But when we're talking about value, we're talking about self-esteem and value, and how people perceive and how those lines are blurred when you talk about self-esteem and value, and looking at someone and what they are thinking. Yeah, those lines get blurred. I understand that point, but sometimes values and how people see you and respect and how people approach you, it goes hand in hand. Those are just things that we got to deal with. We can't be like, okay, just because they dress like this don't mean that they should not have this particular treatment. I understand that. But if we're looking at some hardcore things where it's like a man trying to pick a woman for whatever it is, or a woman is trying to select a man for whatever it is, right? Now, the value system comes in too, where if you don't look decent enough or you're not carrying yourself in a particular manner, then yeah, you will be X'd out. Nobody wants to talk to that, because if that's your value system, I'm not going to talk to a woman with all of this hanging out. Or I'm not going to talk to a man with his pants hanging down, below his butt and showing his underwear, And when you start to look at building value, you start to look at everything as, in that selling standpoint, you are selling yourself to the world. The advantage is that you could bring in more people towards you that have the same type of mindset, as you. So like attracts like and opposites attract, all of that good stuff or whatever. But if you are going down a path that you are trying to achieve something or you're trying to do something with your life, certain values have to be there. You have to stay within certain confines depending on what type of job you have, right? Certain things when you are looking for a certain type of person in a relationship. Is this person going to be mother or daddy, type, or be that type of person that I can say, oh, this is a model mother, this is a model husband, a model dad, that I can, deal with them and they're showing me something better. All right, so my sister talked about if she want to risk it all and jump out there and just show everything, that means that her confidence is high. You can have high confidence, but you ain't got to show it all. You know, those two things do not correlate. Just because you have high confidence don't mean you have to demean and show the world all your goodies either, right? You don't have to do that. You can have some business about yourself, and it doesn't correlate to you having to show everything. Like, okay, because I'm so confident in myself, I'm taking it off. Nah, one does not have anything to do with the other at all. People can be ultra confident in themselves, but they don't have to think that. And that's another subject right there, because that's building value too. People see value in, oh, I'm more valuable if I'm showing money, right? I'm throwing money up. I'm more valuable if I'm showing a little bit of skin or I'm showing a lot of skin. So now we can still question people's value systems. Is that this is what you believe in? This is what you think is of more value. You think this is more value because you showing your butt or you twerking or so now we have to look at the value system and say, okay, the value system is jacked up, you know, it's jacked up because now, as you see on social media, you get more people look at you a little different, with you showing your goods. But do you think that they value you for showing you your goods? Is there any value there? Some real value? Plus, the attention that comes with looking good is mostly unwanted. Yeah, so let's look at that. So there was a comment talking about that the attention that you get is mostly unwanted attention when you're out there flaunting your goods. It's not always good attention that you get when you're out there flaunting your goods. It can come with some negativity. So when we go back to that conversation about if you're walking down the street and you got sweatpants on and you walk past a group of guys, or you walk down the street and you have some booty shorts on and you're trying to keep these in and they falling out, what type of reaction do you think you're going to get? And what is on the mind of that man or even that other woman looking at you? How are they going to think about you? Again, what goes in comes out. So if what you're thinking is miscued and messed up, then yeah, you're gonna think it's not a problem. You're like, nah, it's not a problem. I'm sure I'm confident. You can be confident in so many other ways. Showing your goods does not equate to confidence, doesn't equate to that. It's just showing that you don't care, and you would rather show the world all your goods, and is amounting to nothing. You know, is actually depleting your value, not adding to your value. You know, they say that if you buy a nice shiny Rolls Royce, and as soon as you pull that joke off the lot, it depreciates. So what you think you do when you don't pull that nice shiny thing off the lot? You know, it depreciates. You said your point. I got you, but I mean, I'm just saying, it's how people look at you, is the value that they're going to place on you, is the value that you place within yourself, because what goes in comes out. So if you start to do some crazy stuff, then that is your value system. If you are the type of person that lives in the past and upset all the time and got to talk about this person, because somewhere down the line, while you talking about someone, what is the reason why do you feel that you have to talk about somebody? Why do you feel that you have to put somebody down? You know, it's because you may not value them, or there's something about them that you don't like. But now let's go back to the old saying, is what you focus on is what you lend your power to. So now you are focusing on this drama, and you're putting all of your energy into whatever. And where's your focus? Your focus is on BS. So now you have to kind of bring that back and understand that where's your values? Where's your morals? You know? Then you have to check yourself. Like, why am I upset? Why am I worried about what this other person is doing in their life? You know, check yourself and worry about what you're doing in your life. You know, don't be a hater, be a congratulator, right? So, I mean, it's so many different things that we can kind of talk about when we're talking about building value and the value of yourself, you know, and self-worth. It goes hand in hand, you know, for all the short folks out there, right? Standing in a crowd of tall people, right? You know, if you have that confidence, now I can tell you in another way, right? Having enough confidence versus insecurity. I'm confident enough, so I'm gonna knock this dude out, so I can show people that just because I'm short, I can still knock him out. Now, is that your confidence showing rearing his head? Is that insecurity rearing his ugly head? And what is that saying about yourself? What is that saying about your value? You know, I'm sure a lot of folks have gotten into that point of life where they take that and they move that needle this away just to reassure themselves of being confident, just reassuring themselves of being who they are, is that they had to show out in order to, you know, say, hey, I feel good about myself. You know, I'm confident about myself. So those lines get blurred. You can still be confident in who you are and have value in who you are without affecting anyone else, because it all starts here first, right? So whatever it is that you're going through, whatever it is that you are confident in, you know, you don't have to project that on to someone else, you know. And a lot of times we have that problem. We project our insecurities, we project our value system onto other people. Just because I like it, you're supposed to like it. Nah, I'm I don't I'm not supposed to like it because you like it. That's your thing. That's what you like. You know, I have things that I like, and this is what I'm gonna do. What is that? Should you I'm reading off of Facebook right now. Should you really live your life worrying about other people's opinion? Everything you're saying happen about happiness and value. And let me go to more because I ain't never click on the rest of it. Confidence is a inside job. Everyone else can either bring you joy or sadness. You write your own story. Sims Books Publishing. Hashtag Sims Books Publishing. There you go. I can't even say it straight. But yeah, You right, sis. Good looking. Um, but yeah, here's the point. Here's the problem. Yes, you should depend on what you feel, but sometimes what you feel may uh, be, how do I say it? What you feel about yourself has a lot to do with what you feel about what other people feel about yourself, right? So how other people view you has a lot to do with how you view yourself too. You could say, I ain't worried about such and such, I ain't worried about that, but you still have to recognize that sometimes people really do look at what other people feel about them, and then they'll start to look at their own value depending on what other people say and feel about them. And yeah, you shouldn't worry about what other people say, but some people are built that way. Their own self value and it is all dependent on what someone else is saying, what the crowd is saying. I don't feel right unless somebody else is saying that I am, or so all of that plays into it. So that was a good comment. I didn't even read the rest of your comment on the other one. So, oh, here was the other comment. So if I decide to risk it all and go outside showing all my fluffies, I, I don't love myself. Hell no. That means my confidence is popping. I love myself. His or her opinion don't matter. Neither one of them woke me up. We agree to disagree. Yes and no. It still goes back to your value system. You can't let that because someone else may not agree with you or because someone else um, does not matter, doesn't mean that you have to, within yourself, sacrifice your integrity. So we get into integrity too. Why sacrifice your integrity off of showing other people that I'm so confident that forget what you're saying, and then I'm about to do something that ain't, to, coach. So we can go on and on about that. So yeah, so going back to value, you know, all of those things have something to do with some type of value, whether it's your self value in yourself or whether it's the value of others. If you depend on other folks to give you your value, but first and foremost, it starts with self, you know. So just recapping real quick before we get off of here, I was talking about building value, from one standpoint, selling yourself as far as whether it's your business, whether it's selling an item to folks, whether it's putting yourself in a position where you can, get more people to log in, just like what I'm doing, logging into and listening to you. How do you build that value? How do you fit that need? Just like in selling anything, is that how do you fulfill that need? How do you answer that question and then also get folks interested in what you are giving to them, what are you delivering to them, and then just the different steps. First and foremost, to start is to have time be one of those elements. Time is important because time is money, right? So you have to look at it where, hey, you can create a sense of urgency. Hey, it's only for a certain amount of time. I'm only here, just for an hour, so you better get it before it's gone. Creating that sense of urgency, creating that connection with building value. Playing a game of telephone. What is it? I can tell you all day long the perks of having this, of having that. But in the end, what's the end result? What is it that you will be satisfied with? So it's almost like when you're selling something, or you're selling, like when I used to sell cars, is that if I can get to an agreeable point or price point, would you buy today? And hey, if we can get to an agreement, then yeah, I'll be willing to buy. So getting to that commonality, getting to that point. And then also in sales is really getting to their emotions, playing on their emotions, telling them something, exchanging ideas and getting to the point where you guys are really, gelling, and it's like, oh man, oh yeah, they're happy, they're excited, this can do this for you, this can do that for you. And then painting the picture that in the end, everything's going to be great. In sales, boom, now you got to sell. And then also making it exclusive. Normally I don't do this, right? But I'm going to do this just for you. You know what? They may think I'm crazy. I'm taking another 1,000 off of that just for you. So bringing people to the point where it's exclusive, that it is just for me, So when you bring that exclusivity into it, and you're like, oh yeah, it's yours, just for you, nobody else, then now you're building the value, and now they want to buy what you are selling. Value within a person, value within yourself. People see that confidence in you. They see that within you. People know that, oh, I can't play with that person because they can see it. Or, oh, I can manipulate that person because they can see it. They can see that you don't value yourself. They can see it by just the way you walk, the way you talk, what you have on. Those are the telltale signs. Now, let's go back to the other side. People that are dealing with the value system where it's not up to par. They don't really believe in themselves. They're down on themselves. They have these negative thoughts, or they allow for the outside world to superimpose these models on them. I have to be this way. I have to be that way. So how do we build up folks that have a problem with their own value? Where do you start to build those type of people up? How do you build value into someone where they feel, okay, I'm worth something. Maybe I won't take my life today because someone said that they love me and they said that, oh, you are smart, real smart. Someone gave me a compliment that really rose, now I'm raising my eyebrow like, huh? Really? You see that in me? Man, ain't nobody ever tell me. Or somebody says, hey, I love you. And they're like, wow, I didn't even know I was worth loving, When building value comes in and now it's a repair job, how do you rebuild, a person? How do you help them with what they're going through? How do you rebuild them? And I would say all of those things have to come into play with rebuilding someone, and building the value up and telling them that, hey, you're doing a great job. You are important, because you have some folks out here that are just right there on the line. Another bad, thing happened in their life. Somebody yell at them. They just right there on the brink, ready to go, But how can we use that topic as being something that we could use in our everyday life to influence and to help others?